No. Mr. Watson here, it's been a pleasure to work with these students. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for all the work you've done to get them to this point by helping making sure they have instruments, getting to concerts, supporting their talents, and bringing them to all these rehearsals. So thank you, parents and families. I want to give a special shout out also to my colleagues while they're here. I was going to do this a little later in the program. Let's go ahead and have them stand up. Let me read the names off and have them be, those of them that are here. Jesse, Sarah. So Jesse Peterson from Anoka Middle School, Sarah Lannis. Just wait, I'll wait till they all stand up and we'll give them a big round of applause. Sarah Lannis, John Lawrence, Jesse Holden, Nikki Pavot, Michael Agre, Stacy Griffin, Tyler Bakken, Michael Hebert, Levi Comstock. Thank you. And I realized another why there's a viola sitting there, because they're sitting at the piano. Oh, okay. We're good. Okay. So without further ado, we'll start our first piece. So for our next selection, the Tango Espressivo, a little bit about the composer. Matt is actually a resident of Wisconsin. I used to teach at University of Wisconsin, River Falls, and he was to teach out that way, not too far, just up the road. Just a little bit north of Stillwater is where he lives and does a lot of his work. He's well known as a jazz cello player, if you knew there was such a thing. And so this piece is sort of a jazz style. Feel free to clap after our three soloists that you see come up here to play. So. So again, trying to get a variety of different cultures and other things into our programming here. But again, it's been a pleasure to work with each of these student groups, these students as they've gotten ready for this. It's been sort of a weird time, but again, they came back surprisingly well. I know that you can tell that they're all practicing hard and listening to the music and really working hard, because we've only had like 5 rehearsals, and then we had a month between the last time we were supposed to perform and then today. Fortunately, no snow today. Good thing we didn't put it on Thursday of this week. We might be sweating some nerves there to getting through that, so good. Our next piece, Scottish Ballad, again, sort of speaks to my roots. My grandmother loved this piece. She used to play, grandparents owned a funeral home, and grandmother used to play the organ and used to do a lot of organ. Always had some organ music out because she played for a lot of the funerals and stuff like that, so it's one of her favorite pieces. It's a quick little program, though you do get sort of a 4 for the price of 1 in our next selection. As you can see, there's 4 movements meant to be played without a break in between each one. Especially the first 2, as you can see, ballet, corps, and then variation ballet, a very similar melody in the 2, just a different treating of that melody. So meant to be played without applause for that one. Before we get to that piece, I just want to give another couple of shout outs. Linda Nordstrom, where is she at? She's been our rehearsal assistant. She's also been a sub for me for like 19 years. She's retired from subbing officially now, but for many of us, actually, orchestra teachers, been our surrogate teacher. She's taken on maternity leaves for many people. She's been just sort of a rock in our department, sort of the quote, the secret member of our music staff throughout the district. So I want to give a round of applause for her work and thanks for all of her help. Again, too, we've also had really good support. One of the things we struggle with this is the funding this year, and I had a lot of help coordinating that thanks to my administration here, like figuring out where to get things to cover the costs of these things. So it's been really helpful. If you do know John Pena or Kurt Walrath, my two principals here have really been helpful in that whole process. Next up, a couple of things coming up, and I did give out information sheets. I shared it out via email to parents here. We have 8th grade orchestra festival in this room next Tuesday. So it's going to be during the day. It's ACT day, so if you have any high schoolers, they don't have school that day. So good news is they could just show up at 11 o'clock. I mean, sleep in, and if they can get rides here. But they're welcome to come early if rides are an issue. I'll be here from 7:40, probably from 7 o'clock, actually. Here if they wanted to help me set up chairs and such. Not that we need to get here at 7 o'clock to set up chairs. It won't take that long. But if they do need to get here early, if rides are an issue, they'll be done by 12 noon, all the students in this group. And that's true with the whole festival is done at noon. We're the last thing to perform. And then if they're in 8th grade or in 7th grade, they're just going with their middle school orchestra on the bus. So I think already those permission slips sort of gone out and things like that. So hopefully you've already seen all that. So that's clear there. And so it'll be a lot of fun to have them all here and get to hear all the different 8th grade orchestras. I'm looking forward to that. It's one of the perks of being the honors orchestra conductor is you get to hear all the 8th grade groups that year. Next year, somebody else will get the lucky. We sort of rotate around throughout the district, so somebody else will get to be the lucky person for that next year. And then the final thing on the very back, I know I don't have a lot of details yet, so I'm sorry, but I wanted to give you a heads up, because these are the type of kids we want to see. These are the kids, how many of you were in summer Orky off-season last year? Raise your hand, I see that. So we had a few of them up here. We have another round of Orky off-season. We're actually hosting it this year at Coon Rapids High School. We did it over at Champlain Park last year, and Levi loves to do it, but sometimes childcare issues get in the way. So I know that we talked about moving it here this year because Mr. Comstock's still going to be involved. There's just, he can't be there every day. So we're going to be hosting it this year here, and so it's also a little more central to all the other schools, I think, in the district to do it here. So I'm looking forward to that. It's July 10th through the 20th. The last 2 years, we got a grant from the district to pay for it. This year, we don't. So we'll be looking, one of the things we're working on right now is budgeting and figuring out the costs. We're going to make sure, I'll just give you a range of prices if that's okay. It's more than $1. It's less than $500. And actually, we've been looking at like local festivals that are similar. Like McPhail runs some programs, and theirs cost like $300 or $400. We're not going to charge that much. It's like some of those. It'll be a lot cheaper because it's in-house, it's in-district. And we'll have some financial aid available for people that need that. So wait for that information. We'll send that out through the orchestra teachers. Be looking for that information. I'll also post it up in the Google Classroom and send it out to the email list that I've got in there as well. If you've been getting those messages, I'll send it out that way. Once we have the budget figured out. We have some numbers, but we just need to make sure that we've got the funds and all the stuff. We dotted our I's and crossed all our T's and made sure everything's right before we start advertising that last bit. We've got the space reserved, though. That's the good news. Good. Well, thank you again. It's been a pleasure to work with these kids. Again, last piece, Antique Dance and Theirs. So we sort of worked backwards. So like the Spring Breezes is probably, and the Tango is probably the newest piece. Antique Dances and Theirs is meant to be a Renaissance-style piece. Now, he wasn't from the Renaissance. He was composing in the Romantic era around the 1800s, late 1800s, early 20th century, but very much meant to sound like it's from the Renaissance. Thank you again for coming and sharing your students with us. It's been a lot of fun this year. Look forward to seeing them again. I did tell them to vote on their favorite two for next, so I haven't announced the pieces we're playing on Tuesday. So now that they've performed them, because sometimes it's different when you performed a piece versus just practiced it. So they're supposed to look for that message about what to vote for. Have a great night.